Let's get into the parts you'll be needing for this build. So first we have the Lilygo T-Deck. This is brand new. It's the front display. On the back you have all the goodies. And the GPS will be attaching to the soldering pads up in the upper right corner. Next you'll need a small snipper. Here I have a small case. I've already put in the GPS antenna. Its wire comes through the case. And I also have a 3 dBi lower antenna on top. Here's the GPS module. You can see there's 5 small holes. We'll be using 4 of these. And I'll get into which ones to use later. So first, we're going to need to snip off the plastic port next to the processing unit. And you need to be really careful when you're snipping this off so you don't rip off the soldering pads. I've done this multiple times and yeah, it can be scary. So there's 4 metal pins coming from the soldering pads. Just snip these really close as possible as you can to the soldering pads, and then take off the rest of the plastic connector so you don't break anything. And here's what it should look like when you're done. Don't worry about any other missing soldering pads. We just need those 4. So I'll be soldering with a Pine Sil V2. And I also have some Kester 44. This is just my solder wire I'm using, and it's worked out fine so far. So we're just going to tin up the pads, and here's what it should look like. So you'll be able to attach the wires from the GPS module and then solder it to those 4 pads. So on the left here you can see VCC, ground, TX, and RX, and we'll be ignoring the PPS. So we'll need to get 4 small diameter wires and pretty short lengths, but we'll cut this down further later. So now we're going to put each individual wire through the hole at times to solder it, and we'll be bending the module over so that the port for the IPEX cable sticks up. So this is what it should look like when you're done. Got the 4 soldered wires sticking through. They're going down the main body of the wire, and the IPEX connector is facing up. Here's another look. I just snipped off the ends of the wires. Now we're going to be lining this up so that you get the correct length. Otherwise this can possibly not fit inside your case. So just line it up so you bend it over and it fits well. You're not going to crack the solders. So just line it up like this and then snip down all the 4 wires to about the same length. So I just gave myself a little bit of tolerance to be able to make sure that all the wires reach the ends of the solder pads and it can bend over and still be fine. So we're going to strip the wires, tin them up, and then we'll be attaching them to the 4 solder pads. Now note that the RX and TX will be swapped, but VCC goes to VCC and ground goes to ground. So just swap the RX and TX from the chip's wires. Here, this is what it'll look like. Just need to bend the wires so that they reach the proper way to the proper pads. And here I finished soldering it up. So once you attach all 4 wires, you're just going to bend this over so it'll fit inside any case you want to use. And the GPS's port is facing up. So just make sure there's clearance there. So first we'll be plugging in the GPS antenna to the port there. Next we'll be plugging in the lower radio antenna to the bottom right here. And we'll give it a power source and turn it on to see if the GPS lights up. So the switch for power is on the side, and you'll see that the GPS lights up red. That is good. That means it should be working just fine.